Welcome back for episode 10. And we found us a hood for this. A nice Facebook Marketplace find. It's off of Troy Built. But the front mounts for it adapt over to this bar pretty decently. Let's see if I can show you. There. And even the stops for like how far it opens up works pretty decent. But we are running into some interference with our light bar. So unless I want that to be under hood lighting, we'll have to mount that in a different spot, or at least move it back. I'll have to unbolt it and see how far back I would have to move that to make that work. But some other stuff since the last video. I had a feeling this might wind up being a problem, but the 2 bolts on this, once it kind of settled in, is allowing it to tip. So what I'm going to do is take this top bolt out and do a 3-bolt setup, and then I can cut down the length on these, and that will stop it from like teetering, tilting back and forth. The adapter part worked good. All that is still holding up decent. It's just it needs some better support in between the 2 pieces. I thought that the taper fit on this would be tight enough that it wouldn't tilt like that, but that didn't wind up being the case. So I'm going to take this light bar off, and then I'll see how. There's probably some other adjustments I'll have to make width-wise on this hood for the sides there, and then also possibly down by the wheels, depending on turning radius. That might run into the hood once the hood's all the way down, but we'll see. So I'm gonna take that light bar off and make a couple adjustments, and then we'll see how well that fits. Got a couple other pieces in from Harbor Freight. We got our mini ATV winch and rear hitch receiver. So there's going to be a bunch of stuff that we're at least going to do mock-up of in this video. And then probably the next video we'll finalize welding in that ATV winch mount, unless I can find a way to bolt it in. But that will be going down in front, which will be another thing that I'm going to have to figure out, because the hood's still got to be able to open. So what I might do is, since the muffler is deleted, take off that heat shield, because it's not shielding anything anymore. The muffler's not there. And then mount the winch down there and just weld it to that bar and have it set up that way. But we'll get some of the other pieces out here and test out and see how that stuff fits. But so far I'm pretty impressed with this hood. $25 on Facebook Marketplace, but we'll have to make some adjustments so that can sit down all the way. And then I'll probably also make some sort of clip tab to keep the hood from jiggling around, bouncing, and that kind of stuff. So let me get some stuff adjusted, and we'll be back in a few minutes here. All right, so we got the light bar out of the way. This comes down, and then these little inner tabs on the side of this are hitting. So I could either try bending just that inner corner up some to clear that, or just cut away the plastic where that is hitting on the edge of that, so it'll sit down past that. Because this hood kind of riveted together or spot welded together in a couple different pieces. You can see there. And that top plastic piece is just a big cover. But it makes it look kind of cool. So we'll probably leave that plastic piece on the top there. I might hit that with a propane torch just to get it more, get the plastic more black, less gray looking, and that should liven that back up some. You can either do it with a chemical wipe that resurfaces the plastic material, or a propane torch does the same thing, but instead of the chemicals treating the plastic, it's the heat from the torch. So that'll be later on. We'll probably take these stickers off, and we got to come up with a name for this thing too. I was doing some research, and the hood that this came off of for the Troy-Bilt, they are calling a Super Bronco. So maybe we'll do something Bronco and Murray Select related, and kind of merge the two together. Or maybe we'll have to do a vote on the YouTube page and see what everybody likes for a name better. So I got to get some probably tin snips, and I'll try bending up the corner of this a little bit with some pliers first and see if I can make that clear. But I think it's still gonna want to push that out too far. I think once it gets past a certain point though, it'll sit below where the plastic is. So I can probably find a way to make that work, just bending the edges of this. But I can only go so far because then it separates again. So we'll try making some adjustments, and we'll come back with that. Unbolted the steering wheel, and what we're going to do on this is I've turned where those first two holes were drilled, tap this back into it all the way so it's sitting flush on the edge of that adapter, and I'm going to re-drill this one, and then we'll do one here and one there and tap those, and we're going to leave this one untouched. We'll probably just put some black paint on that to cover up the drill marks. So I'll get some tools, and then we'll be back in just a minute. We're getting a little bit of snow today, just some light flurries so far, but it's a nice day out. Not too bad. So I did have to bend up tabs on the end of that and unbolt the light bar, and did a little bit of trimming on the plastic cowl, but so those are bent up a little bit out of the way, and then this part had to get cut back so that that could swing down past, and I'll clean that up with the Dremel tool so it looks a little nicer. It's a little bit tight in here when this closes. The headlight buckets are close to hitting the engine cover, but I think there's just enough clearance with those. Then the next thing I gotta work on is this light. It's still gonna go up here, but what we're gonna do is, because I want it to be able to open the hood still. I'm going to get some bolt-on magnets for the bottom of this, and then that way I can just, if I need to open the hood, pull that back and then lift the hood up. So I need to get in under here. I think that's going to be the easiest way, because I don't really want to drill holes into the hood itself, because I would still have to put a quick disconnect on the wiring for the headlight if I did that, which would be kind of silly. Or I could run the wires down and up through and under to that and clip it in, but I'm worried about it getting caught on the engine when that's running and that kind of stuff. So I think the way it's going to go is going to be have a couple magnets on the bottom of this, like heavy duty ones. They make a kit, Tractor Supply makes a magnet mount kit, and the majority of up here is all metal. So so I think the next thing we'll look at is taking that shield off down there and test fitting the winch for this thing, since that showed up. And actually, we can throw on the we have a rear hitch mount set up for the back of that too that we can put on. So I'll grab some stuff and bring her back out. So this is the winch we got, 2,500 pound. It's got a pull handle, little tensioner set up so the cable doesn't just unravel, which is nice. And looking at this, I want to run it right in the middle here. So I think that's going to force me to do something with the exhaust, which I'm thinking I could either unbolt it and spin it around, or swap sides so that it goes to the outside of this frame rail instead of the inside. But I think I'm going to have to unbolt those and mess with that, because I want to package it so that the winch can kind of sit in this pocket here. But with how the exhaust is right now, that'd be blowing down right on top of it. So I'm going to unbolt the exhaust from the flanges that are up here and here, and then see if I can flip those so it is out of the way one direction or another. And eventually these are going to have a 90 off of this and merge into this one, and then probably come out the side over here. I'll have these cables up out of the way, and then have like a setup coming out the side for the exhaust, and then they will be completely out of the way. But for right now, I'm gonna do some adjusting and see what I can get to work for the winch to fit in there. I was thinking of taking this bracket, it was normally the drop down for the cutting deck, and unbolt it here and here, and then basically flip it up so that I could have the cross brace for this come bolt into these two bolts here, and then have a flat platform for that to bolt onto. But the mount for the winch, like the mount plate, isn't quite as wide as that. So I might have to do some messing around to see how I can get that to work. But I gotta flip that exhaust first, or at the very least cut it back so that I can adjust from there. But I'm gonna try just flipping it around first. All right, we got the exhaust pipes flipped around. They stayed on their same side because if I tried to switch sides to get them to tuck in more close to the frame rail, I couldn't get the flanges bolted on. So what I'm gonna have to do is cut off this last 45 and just leave it open out to the sides. So we'll have zoomy pipes basically. Each of these, that last 45-degree cutoff will be sliced, and then eventually what we'll do is run some exhaust pipe either out to the back individually, or maybe do like a 2-into-1 setup, but it depends what there's room for. I could maybe have it cross over underneath after the steering linkage stuff. So this is going to get cut basically right before that bend right there. And then this bracket, got all the bolts cracked loose, but I'm going to take this and flip it up and then also around so that these flat tabs are going to be on a shelf like here, and then I can make a plate that goes across with some aluminum that I have, and then bolt the winch plate on top of that. So once I get that close to where it needs to be, I'll show you what we're working with. All right. So we got our exhaust pipes cut, facing to the outside, and I really don't want to put the winch down as low as these mounts are down here. So I think I'm going to try to fit it up here where the muffler was originally bolted into, now that the exhaust is kind of up out of the way and facing the other direction. So I'll place that in there, test fit, and show you what that looks like. Alright, we got a mock-up going. This is what I'm thinking for this setup. I was going to try and put it closer to the engine, but I'm worried about the exhaust heat and engine heat being too close to this. So it's looking like those brackets will work, and what we're gonna do is take this and basically have those be drop brackets that bolt to the bottom of this, and that will hold that up. But because of the way that this is set up, I'm also going to do bracing between these two plates, because most of the mounting is going to be on this plate. So to keep it from twisting, I'm going to probably set these up and either weld a piece in or bolt in some sort of bracket between the two of those. And got to get some new hardware because this one pulled threads off of the end of it. Must have had some gunk in there and it did not want to come apart nice. So got to get some hardware for that. And that will be the drop bracket set up for the front of that. And then the rest is just hooking up the wires, the power wires. It's got the posts on the side. Positive there, negative on that side. So I think I got everything figured out how I want it to go in. And we got the exhaust cut off and everything and flipped around backwards so all that isn't blown onto the where the winch is going to be. So I think that's going to be the end of this one. But thanks for coming to hang out and see what I'm up to, and hope everybody had a good time watching. And next time we should have some more of this stuff together. We got the hood pretty much figured out, so that'll be on. And then once I get the winch mounted, I can clearance the bottom portion of the hood for the winch, which I think it's going to be low enough that it's going to stick under, but not so low that it would be like a drag point or anything like that. I think it's going to be like even with the bottom of the frame. So till next time, we'll see you around. Have a good one.